The Smart Network is a good brand to follow at the end of the day, because we're going to be covering a lot of the things that no one really talks about as well. And if the people talk about it, there's a lot of, as I said, there's a lot of BS in the market and a lot of biased views. So we're trying to be unbiased, because again, Albert is in the property side, I am in the finance space. We do get a lot of conflicting views at the end of the day, but I do think it's a nice differentiation with regards to what we do, because it's not in the same industry. So we can give our viewpoints and what we think is best, because what Albert thinks is best, what I think is best, it might not be the best for you, but for him it worked, and for myself it worked. But at the end of the day, we need to have these debates and see the pros and cons of each. Welcome all, I'm Reino Weyers from the Smart Network. We are here today to share our valuable insights with regards to what we actually do. I'm sitting here with my brother Albert Weyers, and hopefully we can share some knowledge.
So like Reino mentioned, I'm Albert Weyers. I've been in the property industry in sales and rentals for the last 8 years, and that is what I bring to the table. I am the property leg of the Smart Network.
We are basically a platform created for our viewers to just share our knowledge and our valuable insights. Albert here has got the property background, I've got the finance background. I've been in the finance background for about 14 years. Albert's been in the property game for quite some time as well, and hopefully we can share some valuable insights.
We will bring you real life case studies of what we actually do on a daily basis and how we structure our transactions and our deals, and how the property and the finance come together.
Yeah, I also think it's a platform created to just share our expertise at the end of the day, and just to make sure that the people actually understand what we do as a brand.
Network, yeah.
Basically a platform where you can come to, as I've mentioned, you don't get any BS, we fluff through the noise, we actually give you valuable insights for and what we do as a team.
So myself, being in the property industry, I have a lot of clients or people that come to me and ask me, but Albert, how do you guys do this? How do you actually grow your property portfolio, and how do you scale at the end of the day? That's what a lot of people struggle with. So that is where we come in and where we can guide you and assist you. We are not here to go for coffee dates, but we do provide the value on how to structure your property portfolio, how to structure your business firstly, with your trust and your company structure, and then obviously along with any business there's tax implications. So we also assist you in that regard, and that is what the Smart Network is for. So we're building a company where we've got estate agents like myself, estate agents, financial advisors like Reino himself. We both work for big institutions, but we also have tax practitioners and CAs that assist us with building this entire structure and coming to us with we basically resolve your financial problems and your tax problems. That's what we can assist you with.
It's a platform where you actually can come as a one-stop shop to have a look at your finances, have a look at your structuring, and then we take it from there in terms of getting the right solution for you. As Albert mentioned, we both work for reputable big brands in South Africa, so we are trying to just on an individual basis look at clients' needs more closely, and then just determine what structures we can put in place.
That's a very important point, the individuality, because I do get people that often ask me, but Albert, is property still a viable investment? And property is not for everyone. There's different investment vehicles for different people at the end of the day, different portfolios. So property is just one investment vehicle, and that's where Reino and I come together and to say and look at the specific profile of the client, and to say that, okay, listen, maybe because some people like property, so yes, maybe you can invest a certain amount in property, but there's also alternatives. So there's your traditional finance where Reino comes in. There's also alternative investment vehicles where Reino also comes in, and that's his leg of the business or his arm of the business, or whatever you want to call it. So that is how the two worlds kind of marry each other, if I can put it that way.
I also think it's on a basis where we can share our experiences, and with the clients that we dealt with in the past, we do find it often where clients come to us and says, listen, but they want to buy a property or they want to invest, which option is better? remember it's different from it's different from person to person. Each case there's a scenario for each case at the end of the day. So it's a matter of, Albert just mentioned it now as well, there is a case of whether you're investing, is it going to be in a traditional finance landscape, is it going to be an alternative investment landscape, is it going to be in a property, is it going to be other investment vehicles, because there's not only in South Africa but worldwide there's a lot of different investment vehicles that one can follow, and not everybody has the budget to follow certain investment vehicles. That's why it's so important to talk about these things and create a platform. And that was where the idea came up about 2 or 3 years ago, to actually create this platform where we can just share for educational purposes. We obviously can't give any advice related.
The channel is not for advice.
The channel is not for advice. It's not an advice-related channel. It's basically just more of sharing our knowledge for educational purposes. And then from there on, obviously, if the content needs to be made, we can deal with that with you guys directly.
Yeah, so basically we are here to share our real life experience and our case studies at the end of the day. So
and also take you through the journey. Take you through the journey with us, and just basically showing what we've done in the past. And we're not only here to talking about these things, we actually are doing it. So I think that's very valuable, because there was a lot of guys out there that just talk about it, but a lot of these finfluencers out there just talking about finance, but they don't actually do it. So which is quite scary to see the numbers of these guys, what the people they reach. So.
And also, I mean, at the end of the day, social media is social media. So what we share here isn't, like Rainer said now, if you want advice, you can make an appointment with us and we can share that knowledge and experience. For the purpose of the channel, we are only sharing our real life experience. There's also a lot of fluff, and social media can only give you that much. In a 5 or 10 or 20 minute video, you can only share that much information, and your needs might be different from it will be different from someone else's. So that's where we in our meetings, then we can discuss what is your specific need and exit at the end of the day. Obviously, age plays a massive role in any investment, and then when it comes to the structuring of your property portfolio, yes, there's I almost want to say the simple solution to the problem. It's the trust and the company structure, but you can get more complicated. Just remember, all of these structures does cost you money. And at the end of the day, we're here to invest money, grow money, not to spend money.
And also see if the structure is feasible at the end of the day, to see if the structure is feasible for you. And we've been involved in quite a bit of projects as well. So we'll take you through that projects physically. We've been dealing in a lot of property projects, dealing in a lot of financial projects, and as rightly mentioned, at the end of the day, it's about trying to get the structuring right. That's very important as well. And the structuring applies to all, but not all as a complicated structuring method. Some will only have a simplified structuring method, but that can all be explained in more detail.
I can share one specific one. So first off, we are in Cape Town, so property buying and flipping properties is not that easy. It's still possible. Buying at a good look, you always make your money when you buy a property. Keep that in mind. And again, different strategies, different structures for different folks. But one specific one that so that is my job. So first off, I'm a property agent, so I sell property. So if you have properties to sell, please bring it to me. I can assist you. Then we also look at, if you're looking at investment property, what type of property you are looking for. So yes, there's people that love sectional schemes and they only buy sectional schemes. There's people that love what we like to do is, and the strategy that we follow is the multi-let. So we will buy a big property, and we'll divide it into, let's say, 3 semi-detached houses, each with their own entrance, each with their own electricity and water meters. So that we also do, and I'm on site, physically on site. You're going to see some videos of that as well, where I physically go and design the properties. Obviously, I've got a professional team assisting me in that regard. That's another thing. So if you talk to either myself or Reinu, you get access to our professional team as well. And like I said, in the finance side, on the tax practitioners, etc., and on the physical building side, we have builders, we've got plumbers, electricians, we've got cupboard people. Yeah. What do you call them? Carpenters. So that's the value that we bring to the table. But anyhow, so I look at at property, and then I see how can we get the most out of this property, and what strategy are we going to follow. Some properties, it's easy to do maybe a student accommodation. Others, it might not be the right area, so then we'll do maybe a multi-let, or you can do short-term leasing, maybe Airbnb, or things like that, or just maybe rent the property out as a furnished unit.
I think also, I would just to make mention, it's also dependent on what risk are you prepared to take, because remember, any investment, there's always going to be risk involved. With any investment vehicle, there's always risk involved, whether it's a physical asset like property or whether it's a digital asset. There's always going to be a risk at the end of the day. So I do think that's also very important to look at. If a client comes to us to have a look, so looking at the portfolio as a whole, what risk can this client take? As you rightly mentioned, I think age it's a massive factor to whatever investment you partake in, because at the end of the day, if you take in a high risk investment and it doesn't work out, you don't have the time to recover.
100%.
And there will always be volatility in all landscapes. So at the end of the day, I think it's definitely a risk factor to take into consideration before you actually decide what investment to follow, and are you going to invest in property. So it's not, the finances is one thing, but the risk that you take, that's a whole other metrics that you have to evaluate yourself on.
So on the risk part, there's so many things that jumps to mind now, and again, this comes down to the case studies and the physical, practical examples that we've gone through. So up to this date, or to this point, we haven't used any investment or investor funds for our project.
It was self-funded up till now.
Self-funded up to now. We've done one now it's a flip that we're doing, that we did take investor money, but where the risk comes in. So remember, any property you're going to buy for a reduced price, there will be risk involved. Either there will be a tenant in that you might have to evict, and you have to calculate that factor that into your calculation, or there might be some alternative, or alternative risks. So the long and the short is, so with this property that we bought now, we did a quick renovation, just made it aesthetically more appealing, and small modern upgrades. And now it's back in the market. We actually already have an offer on it. It was a matter of less than a month.
Yeah, it was what started. The property was purchased. I mean, from when it was purchased up until now, that's probably not even a month. And the renovations, the bit of renovation that we did there was what, a week, 2 weeks maybe?
A week.
It's not always a week or 2 weeks. Just take that into consideration. There wasn't so much work to be done on the property. But I mean, yeah.
But because we have the right people in place,
correct,
and the right processes in place, we can do the turnaround fairly quickly. But where the risk comes in, remember, that's still a person selling that property. If that person, God forbid, dies tomorrow, then there can be a delay. So there's a delay in our returning our investment, returning our
correct,
funds, and returning our funds to the investor. So there's still a risk involved, even though the risk is little or small. So one thing I always say, property is very forgiving. So even if you do overcapitalize on a certain property, depending on your strategy, well, if you do overcapitalize, then you must look at your strategy maybe. But so there's always a risk involved, but we are looking at mitigating that risk. So there's another case study that I would like to bring up, but you can
just quickly on that. As you're speaking, I'm just thinking. So looking at the risk is not only the risk that you see or the risk that you think, but remember, there's also a thing called opportunity cost.
100%.
Opportunity cost, that's also a risk, because at the end of the day, if you're using that finances and you stick it into a property, it's quite a bit of a cash flow. You're going to be quite a bit of a cash flow deficit for some time. If
property investors are always cash flow
correct,
cash flow tight.
Correct, 100%. We're talking out of experience here. So at the end of the day, if we look at the opportunity cost of foregoing other investments while your capital sits in that property for, let's say, it's been a month now, but let's say something happens to the seller. Let's say, God forbid, seller passes away, as Albert mentioned. Then what's going to happen is that his asset is going to go into his estate. From there on, because it's purchased from a person, not from a business or a trust, that's going to go into the estate. Then that's going to take for how long ever at the end of the day. And then your money sits tied down, and you can't really do anything until that estate is wound down. So that's an opportunity cost that you will forgo, because your money is physically there and it cannot be invested in another investment vehicle to get some alternative growth. But that's one of the risks that people don't really see. They just think of the risk, what will happen in this case if I do this, but they don't look at the opportunity cost that they forgo by not investing in something else. So look, I'm a big fan of brick and mortar investments as well. It's physical, it's not going to go anywhere. in the current world that we are currently living with AI, etc. I think just that property is not going to go anywhere, but there's also a risk with the money being tied down for quite some time. So that's something that one can look at.
Which brings me to my next point. So when you're looking at where the world is going, property is definitely changing along with it. So the building will still be there, but the inside will change. The way people live, the way people work is definitely changing at a rapid pace. So that
and the way the purpose for which they use the property is also changing.
Correct. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that one need to factor in, and for example, if you do a commercial building, how will the rentals work? Will it be normally? I almost want to say a rule of thumb: a commercial lease is between 3 and 5 years, give and take, from the get-go. But people need to maybe rent for a shorter period of time, or they may be starting a small business and they just want to try it out for 6 months. Chances of them staying there longer is very good, but they need to. They can't sign a lease, for example, 5 years anymore. So your leases do change. The laws and things around that obviously needs to keep up. But having said that, there's a lot of things happening in the background. That's where we assist, and that's where I specifically on the property side, where I go and I look at, okay, how can this building be either repurposed, and how will we actually structure the from the get-go, firstly we will start off looking at what the building will be used for, and then we'll start the renovation according to that, and then we will be able to manage the entire process, and that's where eventually we'll obviously need it. Okay, right. So I recently had an old client phone me up and asked me to assist him in selling his mom's property, or his mother-in-law's property rather. Elderly lady, she's in the 70s. So long story short, sold the property. Now she's sitting with a lump sum of money, but obviously she still needs a place to stay. So then he came to me and he said, Albert, we've got this lump sum of money. What do we do with it? Do we reinvest it in maybe a smaller property to rent it out and getting a yield? Or what do we do? And I said, look, let me refer you to Reinu. So that's where Reinu comes in with his finances. And Reinu did a structure with him as well.
Yeah, we've done a structured investment for this guy. A structure in a way where it's accessible at any time. But that's just quickly on that point as well. I do think that's important when an investor comes and wants to invest funds, and the investor don't know, should I put this into this property, or should I rather put it into another alternative or investment vehicle per se. So at the end of the day, I do think that's something that one needs to look at, and it's a case by case scenario, because at the end of the day,
do you remember this lady was 70 years old?
Yeah, correct. So at the end of the day, you also can't take any risk with that funds. Remember, when you can't take any risk with funds, you're also not necessarily going to get a higher potential return. So you're going to have to try and invest it conservatively, but in such a way that you will still be able to get a decent return that can offset some of the expenses, etc. So that's something that one needs to look at. And at the end of the day, I do think that when an investor comes along and wants to buy a property, let's say a first-time property investor, is that really the best structure at that point in time, depending on age, etc.? If, let's say, make an example, 25-year-old comes, want to purchase a property, now wants to purchase, he just wants to get into the property market. So now he buys a flat. But he doesn't take into consideration, for instance, he buys a flat in a complex, there's rates and taxes that will increase from time to time, there's levies that will increase from time to time. He gets his rental, but what happens if his rental does not cover all of that cost and he's tied down to only a salary, for instance? Then that might not be the most suitable structure at that point in time. The guy thinks, yes, I've got a property, I've got an investment, but at the end of the day, that property is not really an investment because it's not yielding that much of return. He can rather go in some alternative routes for the time being, maybe for a few years go into another investment vehicle, and then from there on go into the property sector. So that's also a first-time buyer isn't always going to be an investment, might be a prime residence, etc. But at the end of the day, you just have to outweigh the options and look at the scenarios, because it's not always. I was in that in 2016. I bought my first flat as well. 2016-17, I bought my first flat as well. If I could go 10 years back, I wouldn't have done that. Yeah, I've been in the market for quite some time, but at the end of the day, if you do that, just take note, you are going to be tied down for a while, and you forgo the opportunity cost of some other investments that you could have done.
Alternatives, yeah.
So that's, again, as I said, it's a case-by-case basis. We're going to get a lot of naysayers that say, no, that's not correct. Property is the best investment, etc. But that's why I think the Smart Network is a good brand to follow at the end of the day, because we're going to be covering a lot of the things that no one really talks about as well. And if the people talk about it, there's a lot of, as I said, there's a lot of BS in the market and a lot of biased views. So we're trying to
100%
be
a lot of biased views.
unbiased because, again, Albert is in the property side, I am in the finance space. We do get a lot of conflicting views at the end of the day, but I do think it's a nice differentiation with regards to what we do, because it's not in the same industry. So we can give our viewpoints and what we think is best, because what Albert thinks is best, what I think is best, it might not be the best for you, but for him it worked, and for myself it worked. But at the end of the day, we need to have these debates and see the pros and cons of each decision that we take.
So there's clients that come to me and say, yes, but you and your brother, you're like kind of in opposite industries and almost like enemies, and it's not the case, because it goes hand in hand. At the end of the day, it's what works for the specific client. So you don't want to be over invested in one specific field, or like in property. It ties you down.
Just on on that topic as well. If it ties your funds down as well, and that comes down to, remember, there's going to be a lot of uncertainties along the way, and there's going to be a lot of unforeseen costs. If you invest in property, there's going to be renovations to be done from time to time. There's going to be maintenance to be done. There's going to be all this, and if you don't have the funds to maintain that property at the end of the day, then it's going to be a rundown property, which is also not always the best. But yeah, it does carry a lot of merit. What Albert said, at the end of the day, we are in different industries, so I think it's a good platform to share our views on why certain investments works and why some don't. But as I said, what might work for Albert 10 years ago didn't work for me 10 years ago, and vice versa. So it's
yeah, look, there's always a thing of OPM and OPT, so other people's time and other people's money, and there's a lot of content out there that says that you don't need a cent to invest in property, etc., etc. I cannot see that.
Bullshit.
That's
bullshit.
Yes, there is definitely, you can get to that point, 100%. But you will definitely have to be asked to do it from the beginning. So that's not for everyone. I think Reino and I had a discussion many times before, where at the end it all comes down to what is your income. You need to earn an income first off, right? Do your credibility, affordability, that's everything. Your credibility is everything. Once you afford your first investment, whether it's one of Reino's investments or whether it's a property investment, then I think what is important is your strategy. So yes, I did say earlier, property ties you down. It does to a certain extent, but depending on the strategy that you follow. Because if it's a short-term lease or Airbnb that you're running, there is cash flow. If you're running a student accommodation, that cash flow works completely different. Yes, there's good yield, but there's also quite a amount that you have to have in order to make that thing happen and make it run. And that's also what Reino said now earlier about maybe a guy 25 years old, just married, now purchased his first property, he's residing in, this is his primary residence, his money is tied up, right? So again, it comes down to what are you earning. But that same guy, if he rents a property, for argument's sake, right, he's got some extra money, and he can do an investment property. There's other cash that he needs to fork out, other lump sum. So he needs to, let's say he's going to go buy his first investment property. So there's obviously transfer cost, there's bond registration cost, there's all of those costs. There's the maintenance cost.
And I think we'll break it down. I think in the next episodes we'll actually break it down in terms of the costing. What does the cost actually? Then we'll go to the facts and the figures. Yeah. We'll go to the nitty-gritty, and we'll actually show you the costs with regards to renovating.
And also what type of structures we have for that person to invest in, rather than to go out and purchase the property outright. Rather come to us and let's strategize around it and see how we can assist you, because we all, like I said, we have investment vehicles, whether it's in property, whether it's on the Reino side of the business, we have investment vehicles for your specific needs. And that is where, look, you don't know what you don't know at the end of the day. We've been through it. I'm not saying we know everything, we definitely don't.
And we also learn from others. We also learn from others. We also learn from others. We've got people that work with us. We've got in our network, we've got quite a bit of people that own multiple units of property. So we'll eventually maybe get them on. They can share their knowledge as well. They can share what they've experienced in the past, so that you don't only hear from us, but you actually hear from people doing it as well. Because I always say, I'll rather hear from the people that actually are in it and that's doing it, than people that's just talking about it.
It's coming from the trenches, basically.
It's coming from the trenches and working way up and actually doing it in the industry and getting their hands dirty and actually doing the work, because there's so much fluff out there and there's so much noise out there that we're trying to clear that noise and just being authentic, or just being authentic and taking an approach which is like just clearing the view, because everything, there's so much information, you are just bombarded with information every day, much more nowadays with social media, because every second scroll that you go to, you hear people talk about certain things, but it's not people doing it themselves. They maybe got a massive following, but they're just talking about it, they're not doing it. So at the end of the day, just hear from the people that are actually doing the work, and yeah, over time, hopefully you will learn something. So yeah, that's the purpose here at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So if I'm watching this, why should I join the Smart Network?
So if you've got a property to sell, buy, or just want to grow your property portfolio, the Smart Network will be for you. And on the finance side?
Oh, on the finance side, at the end of the day, if you've got any financial needs, and you want to see if your structuring is correct, you want to see if your financial vehicles that you're investing in is correct, yeah, please come to us and we can assist. And I think, yeah, that's a wrap. So thank you guys for watching.